Alright, so the tools we needed for this job are as follows. Some general bits, stuff like that. You can see the old water pump bolts and stuff. I'm just going through everything now. Some adapters, some small things. I don't actually think you need that for this, but just have them. I have a pry bar just because it was easier to pop the water pump off after you got the bolts out, just by giving it just a hair pressure. Don't by any means force anything. I have a couple different torque wrenches. There's that guy, because you can't reach everything. And there's this guy, for the other ones that you can reach. There's some of the old parts. So you need a small vice grips. Some big ones can come in handy. You don't actually need those, but you know, if there's anything you need to grab. Loctite, because my water pump bolts didn't have Loctite. This T45 bit is absolutely imperative. You need a good one. Basically, you want a brand new one, so that way you don't have any chance of stripping anything out. You're going to need some little Torx bits. I don't actually know what size that is, but make sure you have a variety of them. For the you need one for the fuel line at the top. Yeah, you don't actually need this. My gasket was a little screwed up, so I did put a little bit on the gasket. It seems to be holding fine. I'm sure you're not supposed to use it at all. There wasn't any on it to begin with. Breaker bar, you need a 30mm socket for the nut on the crankshaft, so that way you can turn the engine over to line up your timing marks. Yeah, and just have a couple different wrenches, because this guy fits almost everywhere, but it's handy to have one of these really small tooth, what is it, 1/4-inch wrench. So yeah, and various extensions. Basically, this guy saved me. This little tiny extension. This is an angled one, but you probably don't really need an angled one. But yeah, so this is really all I used. You need coolant if you're doing the water pump. The water pump should be done. Excuse me. The water pump should be done every other timing belt change, unless you see leaking fluid. So yeah, every 70,000 miles is when you should do this. This thing probably had over 100,000 miles on it, because I bought it used. And it looks like a lot of the stuff got neglected, but we're going to bring her back to life. So yeah, that's about that. So yeah, so we're going to continue on. When you see this, we'll start actually doing the job now. When I see this, I'm done, thank God. Oh, and you probably should have some brake cleaner, just in general, clean stuff up. I had a nice mess in there from the water pump leaking. What I'm doing right now, I'm taking the timing belt cover off. I just want to look at it. You just pull up on this to get it off. Next thing you have to do is you have to undo this fuel line and these two bolts. Let's see if I can get this to line out. There's two bolts underneath this fuel line. That guy you have to remove. That guy. And then underneath there's another one. It's hard to see it. It's right about there. Yeah, right about there is the other one. So you got this guy, that guy, and that guy. And I think that'll take off the entire top cover. And as of right now, you can see the timing belt and everything. And the water pump looks like it is leaking. Yep. It looks pretty gross. So I'm just taking this off, getting ready for the timing belt job. I'm pretty sure there's well over 100,000 miles on this belt, and the change interval is 70,000 miles. So, I see why you take that off. This thing's attached to it. These are 10 millimeter, by the way. That's the real question. How are you supposed to get that? I'll probably need this again. I'll probably need this again because there's timing marks on it. Right here. And you're supposed to line them up to here. I just want to look at the belt real quick. It's all over the That's what it looks like with the cover off. to get the expansion tank out, all you gotta do is push down here, and I believe you just lift up. Ta-da! And then make sure you unplug. Then unplug this guy, squeeze in and pull out. And then the expansion tank you're just supposed to put up and out of the way. I'm going to do that for right now. Nuts out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to turn the engine over and get the timing marks on it. It's really hard to see them. Just be aware of that. So what I'm doing, I'm putting an extension on a 30 millimeter socket. I'm going to put this on the crank and I'm going to turn the engine over. Alright, this is really hard to see. I mean, I'll put white out on there, but the timing mark is almost exactly lined up. You can see that little line right there. Come on, focus. Right there is the little line. It is really hard to find. Now honestly, I can't really see it on this side. I think it's that little rust spot right there. But I don't really see it, honestly. But I can't see anything else on this one. But if you look down here, the crank is lined up. So let's try and get a better view of that. And you see how all the other ones are circular, and then there's just this like little, sorry about the focus, there's that little notch in that one. That one's like dead on. Get in here. There's a little notch above, I can't really point to it, it's directly below that screw to the left of here. That's what lines up with that one. This one, it remains, to me, a mystery. I went around twice, and from what I can tell, I am on the right spot considering the other two line up. But either way, I'm going to mark everything so I can't screw this up. I'm going to put white out on these marks, and then I'm also going to mark the belt, and then mark it somewhere down there once I get it all apart, and we're going to make sure that it goes back on perfectly because I don't want to deal with any problems. But yeah, see, that's where we're at. Okay, so I just want to go over what I've done so far. I know it might be hard to see some of this, but on here, I don't know if this is going to help me, but I made it so I could easily see the timing marks. So that's those two. And then these ones I put there just in case I need them. This is, I'm going to wipe these off when I'm done. But this is just so I can double check everything's correct at the end. I might make a little tiny mark here just don't want to screw it up. But that's about that. So the other thing I did was I took the serpentine belt off. You need a little pin to lock this. So I just used an Allen wrench. Seems a little, you know, weird, but it worked fine. I put a, I don't even know what size this is. I put a, what does it say? Is this like the inch size? I put that guy right in there, grabbed it with a wrench and twisted it, and it moved the whole thing up, and then I just pushed this pin in to lock it. And I think the next thing I have to do is take this out. I'm going to take this out, and then I'm going to see where I'm at. But yeah, I think that's really it. There's a bolt there. And then I got to figure out what I'm doing down here, but there's a lot left to do. Just trying to get good lighting. So I think the tensioner has to come off sort of soon. And yeah, I think that's really about it. Then we'll start going into it further. So I'm going to leave you guys here to watch. This guy is 12 millimeters. And for this one I need a little extension. So there's that. This guy is right here. Both the bolts are exactly the same, both 12 millimeter. You should check this out while you have it out. While it's out, make sure your bearings are good, because I've had one of these explode on a Volkswagen, on my TDI. Not really that big of a deal. I just took the belt off and drove it home. There's no power steering. So you might as well check it while it's out. Here's a better view of that. So this is in the car like this. You have to come in here with something that fits in here, or if you can somehow grab down here, but this isn't really meant for it. So they sell a block that can fit in here, but I think this is just a 1-inch adapter. You just pull it back this way, then you line up the pin with the hole. And you can see right there, there's a little hole. Now to do this, everything together, so I don't screw up any bolts. I'm not doing a lot today, so. Alright, now take a good look at this. So there you can see it's just a roller. This is the tensioner. I think this is a T45. I think this guy down here is a T45. But there's your roller, your tensioner. This is the actual tensioner mechanism. Water pump, camshafts, dual overhead cams. But yeah, this water pump's looking like it's in bad shape. There's definitely been oil leaking from the PVC system, which is going to get done next. I just want to make sure all this is done. I want to run it as is because I know it ran fine before. Then I'll start digging into everything else once we get this all worked out. But this seems loose over here, considering I could spin this. I don't know. Bearings don't feel exactly great on that. But like I said previous, I'm pretty sure this timing belt probably has around 150, wait, let me think, no, around 100,000 miles on it. Could have more, I don't actually know because the odometer stopped working in this car in 2008, so anybody's guess. But so, don't know how well I'm going to be able to record this one, but down here, right in there, there's two bolts, and you have to take those off. They block the timing belt on the side there, so I'm going to take those guys out, and then I'll probably take the tensioner out. By the way, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. It's at Scrapin4, Twitter at Scrapin4, and yeah, check out the website, scrapin.net, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/scrapinnet, no dot in there. Yeah, so we got lots coming. Lots of fun.